Our 2025 keynote speaker is Cassie Tebo, an international award-winning photographer, certified life and business coach, serial entrepreneur, and passionate advocate for women. A 2024 University of Wisconsin Green Bay graduate, she holds a bachelor's degree and a women's studies certificate. Now based in Peshtigo, Wisconsin, she's also a wife, a mom of 5 daughters, and a former foster mom. For over 20 years, Cassie has helped women embrace self-love, build confidence, and chase their dreams. A 140-pound weight loss success story, she understands what it takes to break barriers, defy expectations, and create lasting transformation. She's photographed 17 destination weddings and actively supports global change by donating water tanks to African communities, including schools. Please join me in welcoming the inspiring and empowering Cassie Tebo.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. Raise your hand if you in the room were born from a woman. There's a little pause. Okay, just checking. Just wanted to see who's paying attention. Now that we're all engaged, let's talk about why we are here today. We all know the statistics. Women are paid less than men. Women hold fewer leadership positions. Women do the majority of the unpaid labor at home while also working full-time. We hear these stats all the time, but today isn't just about what we already know, it's about what we're gonna do about it. Because let me tell you, women have always been resilient, but it's time to stop surviving and start rising. Look around this room for a second. Whew, I'm getting choked up already. This room is filled with powerful women. Mothers, daughters, sisters, leaders, entrepreneurs, and dreamers. I see a lot of familiar faces of powerful women doing incredible things in our community. I am really honored to be up here today. I see women who juggle careers, families, responsibilities, and dreams. Women who face obstacles, setbacks, self-doubt, and challenges, and yet here we stand. Women, we are not here by accident today. Whether we recognize it or not, we are all here today because of the resilience and strength and sacrifices of the women who came before us. The grandmothers and great-grandmothers who fought for our right to vote, the mothers and aunts who cleared the path for us to get an education and build careers, the trailblazers who refused to settle for a world where women's voices were silenced. They didn't just survive, they paved the way. And today, we continue their work. Before I continue, I'd like to take a moment to speak directly to the hearts of the women in this room. This speech is for the woman who feels overwhelmed, the one carrying all the weight of the stress that no one else sees. The speech is for the mom who puts everyone else first and wonders if she will ever find time for herself again. The speech is for the dreamer, the one with big dreams and feels stuck and is waiting for the right time to chase them. And this speech is for the woman who has ever doubted herself, underestimated, and was told she wasn't enough. This speech is for my 5 daughters, who I pray will always know their worth and their power and their limitless potential. And I dedicate this speech to my heroes, to the women who shaped me, my incredible mom, who's in this room today, love you, Mom, my incredibly strong aunties, my dearly departed mother-in-law, and my own hero, the strongest woman I've ever known, my Grandma Mary, who was a single mom during a time when there were never single moms. I wasn't planning on crying today, I researched this. Whew, vulnerability showing up live today. These women are overcomers. They are the foundation of who I am, and it's because of them I stand here today. Before I go on, I do want to take a moment again to acknowledge the sponsors. Thank you so much to everybody for putting this on and for making this event possible. Johnson Controls, Finn Canteri, Marinette Marine, and UWGB Campus. Please give them a round of applause. Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, reset. I have to tell you, it is such an honor to be here today. If you don't know me, I actually am quite a talker. So especially when it comes to women's empowerment, because this subject is my heart. I have 5 daughters. I've been a boudoir photographer for 15 years, photographing hundreds of women. I have a women's studies certificate. I binge self-help books like it's a personality trait, and I've recently become a certified life coach because I want all women to pretty much know their worth and see that they don't have to struggle and they can live their best lives right now because you only get one. So when I was asked to do this, my first thought was, how the heck am I going to condense everything I want to say to this incredible room, this room full of incredible women, into just one short speech? Because I could go on for hours and hours about how women are constantly questioning it, if they are enough, doing enough, being enough for everyone, for themselves and their family, and how society loves to box us into the endless, unrealistic expectations. So here's my promise to you. Today, you are going to walk away with some life coaching takeaways, some mindset shifts, and actionable inspiration so that you leave here today feeling empowered, energized, and ready to accelerate action. Because here's the truth, as women, we are constantly doubting our worth. We are told to be confident, but not too confident. Speak up, but don't be too loud. Have a career, but don't let it get in the way from your family. And be ambitious, but don't be too much. And we carry it all. We carry the mom guilt. We carry the imposter syndrome. We carry the weight of society's expectations that tell us we should do it all and look effortless while we're doing it. Never complain, never show weakness, and never show emotion. And if we dare put ourselves first, we feel selfish. And if we rest, we feel lazy. And if we go after a dream, we hear, "Are you sure that's realistic?" And I don't know about you, but I am over it. I'm so over it. Because here's what I know to be true. Your worth is not defined by your productivity. Your value is not determined by how much of yourself you sacrifice. And you do not need permission to take up space, pursue your passion, and chase the life that you were meant for. And that is why I'm here today. And we're just getting started. That was just the intro. Okay, so, hello, my name is Cassie Tebo, and I am a resilient woman. I did not always feel that way. I have faced setbacks, failures, doubt and fear, moments of questioning my worth, seasons of putting myself last and carrying the weight of responsibilities that made me feel very stuck. I stand before you today as proof that small steps can create massive, massive transformation. Resilience isn't about speed, it's about showing up. Now let me be clear, I didn't lose 140 pounds overnight. I didn't build a successful business in a year, and I didn't earn my degree in 4 years. It took me 22 years to finish college. In those years, life happened. I took a class, I had a baby, I had another class, had another baby, started a business, had another baby, repeat. But I never gave up. And here's what I want you to know. It's okay for you to know your limits. It's okay to say, not right now. At my breaking point, I was working full-time, raising kids, doing foster care, and I was in school full-time. I was beyond overwhelmed. I was sitting at the computer staring at all my assignments, and I just felt like I can't do this anymore, I can't. And I felt like, but what if I stop now? Am I gonna be failing? I've come this far, I didn't come this far to come this far. Am I gonna be letting myself down? Am I gonna be letting my family down? I had pushed so hard for so long, and I was getting closer to being done, and yet there I was, stopping again. And I hesitated, but then I clicked withdraw from my classes, and the second I did, it felt like an elephant of stress was lifted off of my body. And then I immediately wrote this poem. So today I'm gonna share 2 poems with you that I wrote. And the really interesting thing is that they were written, I think, almost 10 years apart, almost to the day. And so in the last paragraph of this, it mentions wings, and you'll see that come around in the second poem. So this poem is called I Give Up. I give up, a weighted whisper, pulling from within, not yielding past my lips, its echo sinking in. A sigh, my body loosens, tensions put at ease, the chambers of the resurrected unhinged and released. Wet wings of indifference, longing to be free, leap to resolution, hope abounds in thee. I surrendered. I released the expectation and chose to follow my own knowing. I released the weight that I was never meant to carry. I gave up the idea that my worth was measured in exhaustion and that my value was defined on how much of myself I sacrificed in the process. I surrendered to the truth that rest is not weakness, that pause is not failure, it's wisdom. That saying, not right now, doesn't mean never. I gave up because sometimes letting go is the most powerful thing that we can do. So let me ask you, what weight are you carrying that was never yours to hold? What expectations have you been trying to live up to that no longer serve you? Where in your life do you need to give yourself permission to pause without guilt? And when I was ready, I rose again. I kept showing up for myself. I went back, I finished, and this past May with a 3.9 GPA, thank you very much, I graduated. Thank you. And I proved to myself that I was always capable. And let me tell you, yes, as I walked across that stage, I didn't just accept my diploma. I threw my hands up in the air, woo, and actually cheered for myself because I earned that moment. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Growth isn't a straight line. Some seasons will be about pushing forward, some seasons will be about pausing and catching your breath, and neither means you're failing. Because resilience is not about speed, it's about showing up again and again. It's about knowing when to rest and when to rise. So tell me, what will you rise for? If we want to rise, we need to start with our thoughts. Our mind is always listening, your body hears every word you say about it. I work with my life coaching clients on mindset, transformation, and lifestyle design, and I've been a boudoir photographer for 15 years, capturing hundreds of women, and let me tell you something I've learned. I have never to this day ever had a woman come into my studio and literally say, wow, I love myself so much, take my picture. No, instead I hear, I don't like my arms, make sure you cover up my stomach, can you Photoshop me? But let me ask you this, would you ever let your daughter talk about herself in that way? Would you ever let your best friend stand in front of the mirror and pick herself apart? Would you let your sister say, I'm not good enough? Of course not. So why do we speak about ourselves in this way that we would never, ever speak about someone we love? And moms, give yourself grace. Your body birthed a human being. You are already worthy and you are already enough. And if you don't believe that, we'll come into my studio and I'll show you. Because those stretch marks, those are your body's poetry. They are the scars from the stories your body has told, and the next time you hear that voice in your head saying, I'm not good enough, stop and reframe it to, I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm being brave and I'm showing up. And next time you think I could never do that, replace it with, I'm capable and I will figure it out. This is how we rewire our minds, and when we change our thoughts, we change our lives. Next, I'd like to share with you a story that has forever shaped my life and decision making. Gandhi once said, be the change you wish to see in the world. And I know all of you have probably heard this quote before. It's on every coffee mug, every tote bag, bumper sticker, whatever, let's be real. But has it ever truly sank in? It reminds me of the starfish story. A little girl walks along the beach, throwing the stranded starfish back into the ocean, and a man sees her and says, there are thousands of starfish. You will never save them all. What you're doing doesn't matter. And the little girl picks up the starfish, tosses it back, and says, it mattered to this one. That right there is how we accelerate action. Not by waiting for someone else, not by expecting change to happen overnight, but by doing our part right where we are. A few years ago, my husband and I decided to become foster parents. For him, it was always part of the plan. He grew up in a household that took over 100 kids. His mother had a heart for fostering. For me, it was something that I was called to the moment I saw a photo of a tiny broken baby. He was the worst case of abuse and neglect in Marinette County. I saw it on the news or circulating Facebook or something. We weren't even licensed yet. And I picked up the phone and I called the department and I said, I want that baby. And they said, we don't even know if he's gonna make it off of life support. But he did, and he was with our family for 3 years, and it was the hardest thing we have ever done, and it was always also the most rewarding experience of our lives. It was also the most meaningful, because that experience taught me something incredibly profound, and that sometimes you see a problem in the world and you think, someone should really do something about that. But what if that someone is you? What if you are someone's answered prayer? And I want you to pause for a moment. What is the starfish in your world? What problems tug at your heart? What is the one thing you keep saying someone should really do something about that? What if you are that someone? What if it is empowering young girls or animals or helping single mothers or starting a nonprofit, speaking up for those who don't have a voice? We all have something. We have a cause, a mission, a fire inside us. This is our purpose. What is your starfish? What is the one small action that you can take today to throw it back into the ocean? Because you don't have to change the whole world overnight. You just have to start with one. In 2018, I had the opportunity to travel to Uganda, Africa. Before the trip, I learned something that absolutely broke me. Girls were dropping out of school before they got their periods, and in Africa, this part of the country, it's an incredible privilege to go to school in the first place because the government doesn't pay for it, so it's really sad when they're dropping out of school because they started getting their periods. Not because they wanted to, but because they couldn't afford menstrual products. And to make matters worse, some of them were being sexually assaulted by the boda drivers, which is their main form of transportation. It's like a small motorcycle, just so that they could afford pads. So that hit me hard, and I couldn't accept it. I knew that just feeling sad wasn't enough. I had to do something. But what could I do? How could I help? What solution could actually make a lasting impact? So I immediately started researching, and that's when I learned about menstrual cups. One menstrual cup is good for 12 hours and 12 years. That meant that one single donation could keep a girl in school for over a decade. That meant that one single action could change the trajectory of a girl's life forever. So I went all in. I spent months researching, contacted wholesalers to see if I could buy cups in bulk. I raised money to bring as many as I could, and by the time I boarded the plane in Uganda, I knew everything there was to know about menstrual cups. I wasn't waiting for someone to step in, I was taking action. Standing in Uganda, passing out the cups, speaking through a translator was something powerful. These girls weren't asking for handouts, they were fighting for their future. When women have access to basic necessities, they can rise. When we show up, we create change. That experience changed me forever. While I was there, I also got to meet the family of the first water tank that I had ever donated in my grandma's name. And since then, I've donated many more, 2 of which have been to schools. In Africa, I realized something big, that one person with an idea put into action can make a difference. My life was forever changed. That is how we accelerate action. I was making an impact. I was showing up for the world, but back home, I was not showing up for myself. As they said, I used to be 140 pounds heavier. I was on 3 blood pressure medications. I was getting shots in my knees every 6 months just to be able to function. And I was showing up for everyone else, my kids, my clients, my community, but I wasn't showing up for me. And then one day I realized something, that if I didn't take action, I was going to stay stuck. Nothing would ever change without action. My desktop screensaver now says, do something your future self will thank you for. So when I started taking small, consistent steps, not leaps, not giant overnight changes, just one step at a time, that's how I lost 140 pounds. That's how I earned my degree, and that's how I became the woman standing before you today. Not by waiting, not by hoping, but by taking action. And that's why I'm here, because I know that if I can do it with 5 kids, 15-acre hobby farm at the time, working full-time, school full-time, and foster care, you guys can do it too. I believe that. I didn't have $1 million, I didn't have an organization backing me, I was just one person with an idea. And that idea, put into action, changed lives. So I want to ask you, what sets your soul on fire? What breaks your heart? What's the cause that you keep saying someone should really do something about that? And what's one step that you can take today that turns that thought into action? Because here's the truth, you don't have to change the whole world overnight, you just have to start. One step, one action, one decision. And one day you'll look back and realize that one step led to another, that decision changed lives, and that one action led you to your purpose. Because that passion, that frustration, it's not random. Maybe you were given that fire because you're brave enough to move that mountain. Maybe that very thing that scares you, that pushes you, that won't let you sleep at night, that is your calling and your life's purpose. What will your first step be? So here's what I want you to take away from this speech, your homework. Refrain your negative thoughts. The way you speak to yourself matters. Our daughters are listening to the way we speak about ourselves. Speak love and life into yourself, and their inner voice will reflect love and life into them. Show up for yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Take action. Small, consistent steps create massive change. Because when you rise, you lift others with you. You are the ripple effect. You are the change. So here's my challenge to you. Don't wait. Don't play small. Don't let another day slip by wondering what if, because the time is now. And the person who needs to take action, she's already in this room. She is you. Lastly, I want to share the poem, the sequel to my poem, I Give Up. This one I recently wrote. Rebirth, dear self. Caterpillar to butterfly. Dear self, your wings are dry. Your transformation is complete. It's time your hope and purpose meet. Rebirthed, renewed, you now are free. No more self-inflicted captivity. Pause, reflect how far you've come. Unleash your dreams, the battle's won. Trust your wings to carry you, lift you, guide you, help you through. Spread your wings, leap, fly, soar. You, my love, were made for more. Dear self, your wings are dry. Breathe, procure your final goodbye. It's time, have courage. You've earned this right. Rebirth, dear self, be brave, take flight. You are never meant to shrink. You are never meant to fear heights. You are meant to rise. So let's make a decision today. No more doubting yourself. No more waiting for permission. No more apologizing for wanting more, because you are worthy, you are capable, and you are ready. And because when women rise, we don't just climb mountains, we move them. We shift barriers, we rewrite the rules, and we change the world. Defy gravity, take up space, and stand boldly in your power. Because the world doesn't just need more women at the table, we need more women building the damn table. Rise, lead, take up the space you were born to claim, and let's move mountains together. Thank you.